Protect yourself and your family from unexpected challenges. Consider accident-only income protection. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Boxing King Media in association with SaveMoreMoney.com. Delighted to be joined back-to-back Mondays with Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, you're not snowed in, are you?
Oh, thank God. I've just been for a bike ride, actually, before the rain heaves down out of the skies. Do you know, a weird thing earlier, and I've got dusk to dawn lights out in my paddock here. And at 10 o'clock this morning, just before I went out, it was so dark, they came on thinking it was dusk, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's grim weather at the moment, but, you know, you just got to make the most of it, haven't you? So I expect you to do your long walk later.
Hopefully. Well, before we jump into the questions, I think people are loving these comments that we're asking you now back to back.
What, our regular Monday show, you mean? Our Monday debate show, the boxing debate?
I think people are loving these assumptions about you and how you live your life. And I picked, there was quite a few, some quite rude, which I didn't want to go into, but this one's quite funny. I don't know if you can answer this, but apparently Gareth is the kind of guy that gives himself a cheeky wink in the mirror.
I don't, but it's a very good idea, and I hope everyone does it in the morning to make themselves feel good about themselves.
There were some really funny ones, but that one.
And I'm regularly now, by the way, opening the fridge with my hips.
Oh yeah, brilliant! See that?
Whatever that means. Yeah,
the people in the comments are changing Gareth A. Davies's life. Let's jump into it. So this Saturday. It's fair to say a huge upset. How much of an upset was it in your eyes? You know, like if you compare it to a fight in the past, Jordan Gill, Michael Conlan.
Yeah. Well, you could never have written Gill off completely, but Conlan went in as the favourite. But it just shows the vulnerability of Michael Conlan now at this level. I think obviously it was at super feather, not feather. So it's not like they were boiling down. They were both. I think they both weighed in just under 130, didn't they, on last Friday? Jordan Gill is a very tenacious, very brave fighter, and I think Conlan had it all to lose, and Gill had it to gain, and he took everything really, took the momentum. Sixth round, wasn't it? It was a fantastic fight by him, and I think the problem for Michael is now the strength and power that he perhaps doesn't possess at that weight. And I'm glad he said he's going to have a good, long, hard think about it, go away with the family and have a good, long, hard think. He's had a great career. I suppose he will come back because he's got it in him. But for Jordan Gill, I think it's very special because if he wants to fight at super feather now, you've got Lee Wood out there, you've got Joe Cordina out there, all under the Matchroom DAZN banner. So there's terrific fights there for him. I tell you what I will say is I was very saddened to hear his story about that he was feeling dark and suicidal. And for those listening, and a lot of people get that, I'm so pleased, as he said, he was in a field, he was thinking about things, and someone saved him, whether that was faith in God or an actual person or someone found him or whatever it was. I'm so pleased for him. Jordan's a fantastic character. Known him a little while now. His father as well is obviously there in the shadows behind him. You know, there but for the grace of God go many of us in this way. I mean, I've had times in my life, earlier on in my life, when I've been there and felt those things. And we all go through them. They are passing shadows. If you can handle them, if people are feeling like that, reach out, speak to people, be transparent about it. Don't be frightened to say that you had dark thoughts about wanting to end your life or not wanting to live anymore. It's so important to try and talk to people about it. And it might be someone... It might just be someone who's standing there at the bus stop with you. It might be someone in the taxi rank. It might be someone in the supermarket. Just talk to them. People are so beautiful when you open up to them many, many times. And I'm delighted that Jordan is still with us. And, you know, it also saddened me that some depression came to him after that loss to Kiko Martinez. It was after that. And what we've got to remember in this modern age of sorry to go on, but I just want to get this fully out. In this modern age where, yes, people can go on social media and batter other people, and there's Schadenfreude out there where people celebrating other people's misfortune at times. You know, it's part of the culture. It's part of those celebrity get me out of here programs. You watch people in difficult situations. When a fighter loses, or when a fighter, and I know it's a very rough, tough industry and there's a lot of smack talk and all those things, I'm always conscient of trying not to be harsh on people when they've had a bad loss, because they are going through things. And in our sport, guys go through a loss and girls go through a loss, and they do feel it afterwards. They feel it in their soul. They feel they've let people down for no other reason than everyone's invested in them, because it is a very emotive business. So I'd urge people, much as it's vogue now, it's the zeitgeist to kind of cave in on people, to dive in on people, to kick them when they're down. You know, if they're mouthy or if they've been really kind of vicious in the build-up, try and not go in hard on people after a loss, because it's a very tough time. And then that case with Jordan proves it again, Gill.
With regards to Mick Conlan, you touched on it there, saying, you know, maybe the strength isn't there, but could it be a case, the fact that the shot that Jordan hit him with that first left hook with a faint right hand, that was so clean? Yeah. Could it just be a case that shot was that good and hit him so well timed, he just never recovered from that? Because we always, people we normally jump and say, oh, his punch resistance is gone. What if it was just a great shot by Jordan Gill?
He is heavy-handed. That's one of Jordan's great capacities, isn't it? We saw it against Karim Guerfi when he came back against him in the fight before last. You know, he looked dead and buried. To use it, he didn't look dead and buried. He looked out of the fight, but then he came back, obviously, with some tremendous counters to win that fight. We said it in the build-up. I don't know if we said it, but I certainly said it. It might have been on Talk Sport, or it might have been in another outlet. Jordan Gill is very dangerous when he's under pressure. He's that kind of fighter. He's very dangerous as a wounded animal. And I think, like you say, close quarters, right hook feint, left hook land. It was a fantastic punch. And, you know, Conlan was out from that. He was not going to recover from it. And Gill is a very ambitious fighter. He's thrown his lot into the sport. He's got great self-belief. I want to say he's got great self-belief. Maybe he didn't after the Kiko Martinez loss, but he must have great belief in himself, because he has got the capacity to fight for world titles. And he's just proven that. You know, he stands there with Leewood and with Alberto Lopez as having stopped Michael Conlan. And who wouldn't relish the prospect now of Jordan Gill against Leewood at some point as well? What a terrific fight that would be.
I can't see that. What, Jordan Gill versus Leewood?
Yeah.
They're in the same gym.
But so what? This is a time. It's business.
I can't see that happening. They've shared, like, they've been sharing bunk beds for most of their career whilst they were at the Ingle gym. I can't see that happening. But I might put it to him. You never know.
Put it to him.
Michael Conlan, we've seen him get stopped. Two of the previous guys were known as heavy punchers. Jordan, despite what you've said there, his record doesn't suggest he's a big puncher, but obviously the knockout against Garcia suggests he does carry power. And that shot was well timed. So a lot of people are saying he needs to retire, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we saw this with Amir Khan, stopped like in devastating fashion most of his career, but he just carried on, always found another fight. Could it be an option? Maybe, I don't know. I just seen all the belts have gone vacant at lightweight. Could that be an option for Mick Conlan, or do you think he should need to stay at that weight and maybe just regroup and look at the flaws that caused that knockout? Because it seemed like some of the stuff I've seen post fight, it seemed like the shot that they've been working on, feinting the right hand and just coming in, whipping the left hook.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think going up to lightweight is wise. I mean, if memory serves him right, Michael was at super bantam at one point as well, wasn't he? So No, I don't think it's sensible. I think he needs to take a good, long, hard look at where he is. I'm not one for calling people to retire. It's up to them. It's their decision. It's their body. It's their life. And if they have that urge in them to fight on, I don't really like calling on them to retire. I know that obviously when you talk about Amir Khan there and when he fought Kell Brook, they were both as weather worn as each other. The word they use is shot, isn't it? But and Amir's still trying to get a fight with Manny Pacquiao. But no, I think he needs to have a rest, have a hard look at it, stay at feather or super feather for me, and that's where he needs to ply his trade. On the subject of Amir Khan, very quickly, if I might, I thought it was a great gesture of him to refuse to buy Mario Kindeland's gold medal. He sent me a voicemail on Saturday night, Amir did. I did a post on it because I thought it spoke to me of what Amir has always been like, in my view. Not a bad bone in his body, basically. A thrilling fighter, great family, a delight to work with, the first real star from the British Pakistani Muslim community, an absolute star, a pathfinder and a change bringer for that part of the community, as well as others as well. But I think Amir did an awful lot to bring British Asians into boxing, and I will never let that be forgotten. But I don't agree with people.
Just talking on him there, one quick thing on that. You can't even win, because I saw that he took the post down because the amount of people were criticizing him for advertising that or putting that out there. And even in the comments, I saw there was loads of people saying, "Oh, nicer people, why do you need to advertise it?" So you can't win.
No, that's what I was about to say, was that it upset me a little bit. I mean, I did a post on it, and I put, I'm actually going to write a piece about it as well this week. If it had been 20,000, he'd have given him 20,000. It wasn't about the amount of money. Mario had said he wanted $5,000 to build his mother a home. She was destitute and living in poverty. And it was the generosity of Amir Khan more than anything. And also, it doesn't matter that he publicized it. It's a fantastic story. But there's no need to negativize it. There's no need to be pernicious about it in that way. For me, the key is Amir gave him the money and said, "I'm giving you the money on the basis that you never get rid of that gold medal you won." And I think that was the point of the story, and that's the point of publicizing it. Not that Amir's a great guy for doing it. If we never do we want to hear all the negative stories all the time about people car crashing and avalanches and tsunamis and wars going on? Is that what we want?
Negativity.
That is the news generally, So let's celebrate good news stories. I was delighted for Amir and also for Mario Kindeland.
And a quick touch back on Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, and most importantly Barry Smith, who known as Bazza, who led the corner for Big Barry, yeah, also known. He's
always threatening to give me a few, boom, 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 bang. He said, "Go on, you always jump in." They're just down the road from me in Harlow, about 25 miles away. And he's always saying, "Come on, jump in the ring. I'll give you a knockabout." I've seen him and Ben Davison sparring. He's a big lad, Barry. He's a decent boxer as well. He's a big man. He's 22 stone.
And we've seen again, because a lot of people tend to criticize Ben and the way his methods are, and there's still people out there calling him a PT. But is it worth highlighting? This is another, like Jordan Gill was 6-1. So it's fair to say nobody expected him to win, no matter how good or bad Mick Conlan may or may have not been. He went and pulled out a game plan. We saw Jordan Gill fight on the front foot when he's been known to as someone who kind of fights on the back foot. So they've obviously changed something in him, made him fight on the front foot and basically press the fight to create that knockout moment. So it's worth highlighting, and obviously he's training Anthony Joshua. Maybe that's the side of Anthony Joshua people want to see. So is that a sign of things to come, do you think?
Yeah, and I was with Royston Barney-Smith in the Talk Sports studio on Saturday night. What a great young teenager he is. He's a fantastic kid. And obviously, he's trained by Ben Davison. And Ben speaks so highly of him. Obviously, he's a traveller. He's had gloves on since he was about 5. I think he said 5 or 6. He's a great prospect, by the way. Shaka Stevenson comes to mind if he can develop in that way. Both lefties, both very, very talented. Look, Ben Davison's great for anyone he works with. He's friend, trainer, mentor, psychologist, gets them to read Sun Tzu, the Art of War, gets their mind working. And like Adam Booth and Joe Gallagher and MMA, Freddie Roach, mixed martial arts coaches in the past that I've known a lot, Duke Rufus, Javier Mendez from AKA with Khabib Nurmagomedov, Mike Jackson, all these guys, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, all these famous coaches. Andre Ward's coach, his name escapes me right now.
Virgil Hunter?
No, Virgil Hunter. So apologies, Virgil. I've only known him 25 years. They are about improving the person and not just the fighting skills. And that's so important, because all of these guys we're talking about, Gul, week in, week out, they are tested as people, not just athletes in this sport. They're tested, their mentality, their emotional skills, their souls, as we talked about with Jordan Gill today, even to the core of his existence, questioned, by a dark cloud. And Benn is great for anyone. And I've known Benn probably about 7-8 years now, and he's always impressed me. We've talked about everything from life to fighters, and I think Jordan Gill will have benefited from that. Anthony Joshua, I hope will benefit from that in Saudi Arabia on December the 23rd against Otto Wallin. I can't say enough good things about Benn, and I don't understand the dislike for him sometimes. What I think people don't realise is that for a very young man, he's got a very old wise head on his shoulders.
Definitely. So 2 quick questions for you. I just want to get your opinion on this and what you think should happen. So obviously we've seen the Conor Benn saga roll on. So we're at a point where on Conor and Eddie's side, they feel that the WBC and the NADP, the National Drug Agency, have vindicated them by obviously having the ban overturned, suspension overturned, should I say. But the British Boxing Board is saying he hasn't been through their procedure and their hearing process, etc. So they're not willing to license him. So we're at a point where they're either going to go down the PBA route, which has been suggested, or they're going to go down the British Boxing Board route and potentially get a ban, etc. From the way we know where everything stands right now, what do you think will happen, and what do you think should happen?
Well, I think there's 2 things that may happen. I don't think he's going to get his license from the Boxing Board of Control. That could end up in court, of course, over Conor Benn and his lawyers trying to prove the case that they have shown that he was innocent, but they've only done it in terms of jurisdiction. So that will be a very complicated court case. And they may not go down that route. The fight will either be delayed till the hearing's been had in early January, I believe it is, the appeal hearing. But yet again, they still won't have proved strict liability, either consumption of whatever it was that created the clomiphene in his system, either a pharmaceutical drug, rightly or wrongly or mistakenly or deliberately, and he's proclaimed his innocence the entire time. So he said, whatever it is, it's mistaken, or consumption of food products, which Dr. Human has spoken to me personally about, that it was that, and there's evidence of it in the metabolites in his body.
Just on that point, because I was reading the comments, somebody said, why is a doctor telling Gareth A. Davies about somebody's case?
Oh, he was public about it. He went on radio and spoke about it publicly. But I reckon about when was Usyk against Dubois? Was that August?
Yeah, August.
Yeah, he I think a month earlier he'd been on air.
Okay, so it was already public anyway.
Yeah, it was. No, he'd made it public.
There was a few people suggesting, why is Gareth A. Davies talking to his doctor? But I just wanted you to let them know that.
Do you know how I spoke to his doctor?
No.
He came up to me in the stadium just for the broadcast for TalkSport and said, I'd love to do some stuff with you if you want. I said, no, I'd love to do an interview and do this story. And I said, well, why aren't they putting all this evidence forward? And ditto with the WBC stuff, where the WBC have said there is previous with consumption of eggs that can create clomiphene in the system. I'm not being an apologist for anyone here. What I'm saying is there's evidence there, go forward with it. And to finish that thing all the way through that I was just saying was, if they have that hearing and they bring in consumption as well and strict liability, with that, their fear is, I'm sure, that they're going to get banned till August this year, retrospectively 2 years. That's probably their biggest fear. But if they have the evidence that proves that metabolites in his body, that it was from consumption of a food product and it wasn't from a pharmaceutical product, then I think they'll look kindly on him. There's such a horrible impasse at the moment. I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn where he said, I don't know why I can't sit around a table with Roberts. I don't know why they don't all sit around a table and work it out. Benn says he's innocent. Hearn says they have a cast iron case. Hear both sides of it, which is jurisdiction, which they've won the case at the moment for the ban to be lifted. The suspension.
Who's to blame for this, Gareth? Why is this not happening then? Because they've
all both sides. It's all of them. It's all of them. Clearly, it's all of them. It's been a very, Gil, honestly, I've never known a case like this drag on so long and be so complex, and there be loggerheads all the time. It's mystifying to me. It's absolutely mystifying, because we all want to see Conor Benn box again. Yeah, the board, I don't believe, have it in for him. Any conversation I've ever had with people from the board, they don't. They categorically tell me they don't have it in for him. It's a very messily handled case, even to the point, if you go back to October the 8th week in 2022, that whole week was handled poorly as well. But then, as we subsequently found out, the 6 weeks before that, the 8 weeks before that, hadn't really been handled well as well. Things had been brushed under the carpet. Things weren't dealt with. Things were left alone. And it's got to change.
Last thing, Feb 3rd, does that happen? Feb 3rd, does it go down Eubank, Benn, or do you think that's off now?
Well, as you just said, it may go ahead under the British...
the guys that do the Misfits.
Yeah, what are they called?
PBA, I've got no idea what it stands for. I'm guessing Professional Boxing Association.
It is the Professional Boxing Association. They could go ahead under that. It would be classified by the Boxing Board of Control in this country as an unlicensed fight under their statutes.
Eddie said Eubank hasn't signed, and I think a couple of days...
Well, that's again, another twist. Last week, they leak out that the fight's going ahead. Riyadh Al-Samurai is a great journalist. Obviously won Sports Story of the Year for that last year in the SJA Awards, Sports Journalists Association Awards. Terrific story, created incredible amount of debate. Again, that story goes out last Wednesday or Thursday last week, saying the fight's about to be signed. And Eddie at the weekend in Belfast reveals that Chris Eubank's the one holding the thing up, and the fight isn't signed. They're going about it the wrong way, in my view. Because it looks to me like either Eubank wants more money, or he's not happy with how it sits around it. The Boxing Board of Control may take his license away. Will he be able to box again in the UK if he boxes on that card? There's complications for him as well.
But for me, got instinct. Does it happen?
No. My gut instinct is it'll be, as I said at the top, I think it'll be delayed.
Good stuff, right, Gareth? I think that's pretty much it. And
can I just say one other thing?
Go for it.
I liked Ryan Garcia's speaking out against his promoters last week. I love, again, mental health. Spoke out transparently. He has his moments with Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya, but I mean, I didn't like this that he was doing all night. I don't know if you watched it yet, but
I did, yeah.
But again, showed how dangerous he is and how powerful he is. Oscar Duarte was a very difficult opponent. I'm a big fan of Ryan Garcia. Not a fan, I'm a big supporter of Ryan Garcia's. I like what he does. I'm looking forward to this week, by the way. We can speak later on in the week if you want. Regis Prograis, Devin Haney, great fight. Looking
forward to that. Should be a great fight. Gareth, that's it really. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you hopefully next Monday, see where we are in 7 days' time.
Okay, lovely. Cheers.
Have you ever been stranded on the side of a motorway with a broken down car? Like me, Is that something that worries you? That's where motor breakdown insurance comes in. If your vehicle breaks down, a trained professional will be sent out to get you back on the road. Or if this is not possible within the specified time frame, to transport you to your home or to the nearest garage.